sing a happy song together, and we'll all be a happy family.
Hi, welcome back. So, continuing with the experiments with this little monitor, I've had some thoughts about this, at least on the electronics side. I've got one of these little cheap Chinese audio amp circuits, a couple of old speakers, which I found actually when I was looking for a speaker for a radio recently, but these were too deep for that job, but there's two of them, so they can be connected to that amplifier. And then I found this block in my junk box. I might cut two of them off, or I might have an audio path through, so the audio can be fed into this and then out again to something else. And oops, and that one of course is the video connection. And these two here are the 12 volts going in, so they go into a connector here. Now I'm changing all the lights, aren't I? There we go. And here we have the brightness and contrast controls, which are on this external line. And on mine, it did come with them, and I've noticed that this connector is a 5-pin one, and that one is a 6-pin one, and it was sort of jammed in there, and presumably it was okay, but I've decided instead to opt for using two of these little trim pots. So one's a 50k and one's a 1k, and these will fit. If I remove this socket, they should be able to fit straight onto the board in that configuration. So they would just be another pair of trimmers on the board with all the rest. So all the adjustments will be trimmers on this. So that's what I'm going to tackle today, is to replace the socket there with these two, and hopefully see it'll still work. And then I'll move on to thinking about the audio. Now I've got this stereo amp, and some of these sound sources I might feed into it would be stereo, some would be mono. So what I thought I would do is have a stereo mono switch, so that I can just put the signal through both speakers if it's only mono. Otherwise it would be just coming out one side, which never seems very satisfactory. So I'm thinking a bit more about that. I've got plenty of little toggle switches and all that, so that would be quite easy to do. And as I say, I'll probably feed the stereo in through one side here, and maybe the ones next to it I'll connect them across so that I can pick this up and parallel it with something else. And this little audio amplifier in here can be switched off, and this could be fed through another amp if I want. So the first thing I'm going to do is see if I can remove that little socket there, so that I can replace it with those two, and we'll see how we go from there. So I'll just get the camera up the top. Now I always have problems with things going out of shot, so we'll try our best to remember what can be seen through the camera. So if I come in a bit, if I keep things in the front area here, I should be okay. If anyone's ever tried making videos, it's surprisingly difficult, and it makes me really appreciate the professionalism of those who do it truly, really well. And those who have never tried, if it looks really bad, have a go yourself and find out. And if you find you're really good at it, fine. Go and make some videos. Right, so return this over. Now, I need to, first of all, try to suck the solder away from these connections here. That's the first step, so we turn the soldering iron on and set the temperature. I like a fairly hot soldering iron. People differ on this. I've been doing it a few years now, but I tend to set this one to 380. I don't know if that means it is exactly 380, but that's the setting I put it on. You can solder at much lower temperature, but I find it's better to have a good temperature soldering iron. Then you can be quite quick with the connections. Right, I just need to get some glasses. Use one of these hobbyist things, because when you're getting more senior in years, it's not so easy to see. So hopefully I can sit down and start to desolder these. Usually find a dab it with a little bit of extra solder to get it started. And then hopefully these will come out fairly easily. Well, that's encouraging for a start. That worked fairly well. Two of these desoldering tools, so maybe the other one will be better. This is a newer one. I always make sure I buy the ones with this shield here. It's very easy to be desoldering and get your eye close to it and press the button and whop and your eye's gone. So that's why I like to have the shield. Right, that's taken most of the soldering off. Now the thing is, this is going to push through fairly easy. You can get long bits that will heat them all at once, which is probably what I should be doing here. Yep, it is beginning to come out. Alright, let's try adding a bit of flux. Then we can come in with a bit of solder braid. My varying amounts of luck with solder braid. Yep, the pins are falling out. There we go. So the next thing we want to do is to see how well these are going to fit. We want a 50k at the top, and I want the screw further down. So that's the 50k, and there's the 1k. I want to put them like that. Now I can see by the spacing that they don't match up, so I need to be a bit cunning with the tweezers to try and shape those so that it will go straight on. So hopefully now we will try them from the wrong side first so that we can just see if they fit. So those will go there, and these will go here. Fit them in like that, but on the other side, and then they should line up okay. So let's got those in the slots, in the holes. Now we just tap them in. Try again. That's that one. Yes, I couldn't quite see how it could have worked with the 5. And one of them didn't seem to do much, so maybe it will work better now. Right, that's got those soldered in. So they're a little bit higgledy-piggledy there. Straighten them up. And hopefully that will work better. Now let's trim those off. I actually find that when I've made a video like this and I look at the playback, half of it's out of shot. Clear this. Right, we have our little game. That's a signal source. It goes into the AV connector. So now we've got these trim pots fitted instead of the ones on the piece of cable. That's for the brightness and the contrast. game's connected in here. It's connected to the power supply. And let's see what happens, if anything. We have a raster on the screen, which is a good start. So we turn this one on and it's rolling a bit. So now we need the trimmer tool. Now, first vertical hold is this one here. There we go, let's solve that. So the tool we just fitted, the top one should be the brightness. So we'll see if that varies the brightness. Don't really notice a lot of difference, but it's a slow turn pot, and it is getting darker, I think. So that brings the brightness down very slowly. And then the bottom one is the contrast. Again, that's got to engage with that. Yes, that's definitely less contrast. So if I turn it the other way, that's getting stronger contrast. How well that's shown up on the camera, I don't know. But that's quite effective. Now we have the other controls, which is the vertical position. That raises the whole display up and down. So let's see if we can. That brings the screen up. We have a width control, which is this side. So we can adjust the width so it's just scanning to the edge. There's also a coarse brightness control, which is much more effective. So really, it's easier just to set it on that, I think. So we bring that one down, and in contrast, which these don't really need a lot of adjustment once they're set. And I think contrast is at the end of its travel there, and it's coming back this way. It is, yeah. So it's certainly working. And of course, it's probably not going to look very good on the camera, but it is actually a clear, steady display that I'm getting, and it's working very well. Obviously no audio, of course, but all these controls are working on the game, so that's pretty good. There are some adjustments around the yoke here, which somebody mentioned. So there's two rings here which are magnetic, and you can turn them around and they will move the image on the screen a bit. It's sloping down slightly to the right. I was able to move it a bit, but here you can loosen this screw off. This will move slightly either way, but it's as far that way as it will go. So I'll have to really put up with this slight lean to the display, because the shape of the CRT being very flat means that this can't be rotated round like it can on most CRTs. But I mean, the other way of doing it would be to put small magnets near the neck here and move them around until you get a better image. And it's interesting also, if you put your finger near there, that will move the display. So actually affecting the beam as it travels up to the phosphor. So there we go. Right, so that's the state of play at the moment. I've fitted those trimmers in, and it's still working. So I would like to think about how I'm going to do the audio side, and maybe have a mono switch. The audio will be separate anyway, it'll turn off and on, but I need to run the 5 volt audio amp bulb from the 12 volts, so I need to put a dropping resistor and a voltage regulator in there and a capacitor to give it a steady 5 volt supply. Hopefully that will not interfere with anything else, and that should give me a decent monitor that will work. And then it'll be a matter of seeing if I can fit the whole arrangement in some sort of box. So there we are, that's an update on it. So, catch you in the next one, and bye for now.
Sing the happy song together, fill the air with harmony. Sing the happy song together, that's the song to choose. For pushing away the blues, keep the heartstrings running, there's a good time coming. It will keep on humming.